Okay, well, that was weird.
Even false alarms are part of the surrealness.
Exactly.
Okay, now,
All right, let's make sure you're hooked up here.
well, I'm hooked up through this into this.
All right, let's see what we got. Desktop?
No,
No.
that is an Apple desktop, but maybe.
So you got a PowerPoint presentation? Is that what you got?
Well, Keynote, same thing.
Yeah. Try firing it up right now. See what happens.
Right, it won't be necessary for me to see the screen at all, will it?
I don't think so.
Good.
It's here. All right, do I need to mirror display on this?
Possibly.
Okay, let's hide Keynote. Let's go to System Preferences. Display.
Oh, I got a menu up there.
Okay. I wonder why it's not showing the. All right, you're playing with the brightness, aren't you? It's showing. It's showing.
Oh no, I'm not touching it.
You're not doing a thing. Hang on. Arrangement. Automatically adjust brightness as ambient light. Oh, it's doing that.
Okay.
Let's do.
Oh, no, we know how to find
Oh,
it.
what's happening? There we go. That's it. We got it.
Thank you for taking such
Okay,
good care
now
of us.
the only thing I'm concerned
We'll see you
about
tomorrow.
is the audio.
Okay. These HDMI, so you should get audio through the
Oh, I
television.
need another pillow to sit on.
Right.
You may not need to have the computer volume up. But we can take a second here to test it if you'd like.
Can
My
what?
mic-
We can take a
It's not
second
on.
here to test it if you'd like.
How do I test it?
Start it up.
Well,
Do you have some music or something that you can play off of your computer there?
let's see if I have.
Anything with sound, really.
Oh,
Hey.
I turned it on. Hello, Calgary Elfquest fans. Oh! We're just getting set up here. You wouldn't believe the hoops Richard jumped through to get the right equipment so we could run this on your TV.
I hope. Oh, trust me, I hope.
And if not, we'll just punt. It'll be a good show anyway. This is our 35th anniversary Elfquest show, and we just gave it at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle to a full house. It was wonderful.
Hi. Hi, I'm Sophie. And I'm Paul Rhodes.
Is that coming out anything?
We are the creators of Elfquest Fan Imagining, and we're here to give you a little behind the scenes look at that today.
Small screen.
Are there any
It's
speakers?
Television speakers. Imagine with the HDMI, which carries sound and video.
Yeah.
now we're just trying to hook up the sound.
You know, if worse comes to worse, I'm going to take the frickin' microphone and hold it up to the speaker. Is that
Why
good?
not? Why not?
Bye, Paula.
How many of you guys have seen the Elfquest of Fan Imagining trailer? Pretty awesome, huh?
Okay, then that's how it's going to go. I'll just do the.
Are you going to need the lights dimmed, or
Well, I mean, so people, I want people to see this, so if the lights dimming helps.
you think if the lights are a little bit dimmer during the show? Okay. Thank you.
Display's pretty well in full light, but
Do we have full screen, or is it just okay? Good. All right.
Where's this coming from? Don't fight with me.
Stuff.
Don't make me angry.
You
won't
wouldn't
make
like
me when
him
I am
when he's
angry. Well, I mean, it's a blank screen. So, yeah, by definition, it's
Can you
dark.
read your notes?
All right, let's.
Be able to see you too.
All right,
Hi there.
how does that look?
You're going to sit up here with us? Are you the moderator? You are. You're moderator. Oh, cool. I didn't know we had a moderator. Awesome.
Okay. What are you going to moderate?
Questions and give the introduction.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
okay, introduce us.
We got a couple more minutes before we start.
Oh, you mean we're ahead of time?
We're ahead of schedule.
This is awesome.
I'm going to go out for,
These people are all ahead of schedule.
Chinese food.
yeah. I'm gonna, we got time.
I feel like this is a little too dark.
No,
I feel like people aren't going to be able to see you guys. They will see you.
Yeah, let's
Well-
take it up a notch.
no. They're not here to see us at this moment. They're here to see the show.
Sure, you know.
When the
everything.
show is over, we can turn the lights back up. Because if they don't like the show, we're going to use that last few seconds of darkness to get the hell out.
All right, guys, welcome to the Expo. My name is Keith. How's everybody enjoying the Expo so far? That's great. All right, I will just remind you guys that there's no recording of any kind or flash photography, please. All right? We'll turn it over to our moderator.
Okay, I'd like to welcome Wendy and Richard Pini. Pinini?
Yeah,
Pini?
yeah.
And
Pure Italian.
They're going to give us a talk on Elfquest, of which I know very little, so I'm in the right place to learn about Elfquest.
Well,
Perfect moderator.
you probably should watch the show.
Yeah.
We'll write you a note. You're
Okay,
excused.
I'll do that then. So I guess we've got a video to show us?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Richard can take it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We've done this many a year, and we've given panels in many different situations. None of them quite as interesting as this one, technologically speaking. But you know, we rise to the occasion every time, and we're going to rise to the occasion this time. So, first of all, thank you all for being here. And something I said. We're having a wonderful time here at the Expo, and you all have been great, and again, thanks for being here. Now, this is our Elfquest 35th anniversary presentation. It's going to be different every time we do it. It's going to be different from the last time we did it and the next time we did it. We are very happy to be here, but I want you to think about, here's something to think about. I want everyone in the audience who was born after 1978 to raise your hand. Well, guess what? If you were born after this date, 1978, you have never lived in a world where there was not Elfquest. Isn't that a sobering thought? So, welcome to 35 years of pointed ears. As I said, this is our anniversary show. We want to start with, can people see this? Okay. There's a little bit of history to Elfquest. We've been around a while. Where does Elfquest come to, what is Elfquest's family tree? What are its roots? Well, did Elfquest start with the very first anime movie to come over here from Japan in 1961, Alakazam the Great, that quietly drove a 10-year-old girl absolutely bonkers? Or was it perhaps that young girl grew up in a house where they had wonderfully illustrated children's books, particularly from the 19th and early 20th century with illustrators like Arthur Rackham and Edmund Dulac? Or was it even earlier? What you're seeing now are pages from a book of fairy tales that this young girl had when she was 2 years old. And if you look real close, you can see that she has added to the illustration in the book. And they are recognizably elves interacting with the story. Well, you know, whatever the real answer, it all comes together in this person right here who is sitting to my right immediately. It all starts with her. Is it because she was adopted as a child? Is it because she was a mystical changeling? Whatever the reason, and I don't probe too deep into this, she did not have a blood family as most of us did. And so she was always looking for family. She was always looking for some kind of tribe, some kind of family group in her life. When that movie, Alakazam, came out, immediately after seeing it maybe 200-300 times, she went home and made her own little monkey character puppets because she wanted to be a part of that tribe. And in looking at the stuff that she's done over the years, she's always been a storyteller and always been a self-taught artist. So her stories are all about families. This is something from her early teen years called the Rock Garden. It's little insect people, but I bet you can look at that and see precursors of Elfquest there. Is that not Sava in the middle? Is that not maybe Cutter and maybe Rayek on either side? A little bit later in her teens, she came up with a group of teenage science fiction gallivant throughout the galaxy, having adventures called the Rebels. And it's always been about, again, family or tribe. She has been drawing all her life, and sometimes as I go through her artwork, I like to point out things, not only to her, but to all of you, that she's been drawing the same things sometimes over and over. On the left is a drawing of one of the Rebels characters relaxing from when she was in her early teens. On the right is Cutter relaxing from about 10 years later. And as you can see, she hasn't learned a single thing. Again, a little sketch from the Rebels and a panel from Elfquest, where Lita is fiercely hugging Cutter. It's the same thing. I don't say this much to kind of nudge her, but she's tapped into something that's very, very real, especially when it comes to interactions among characters. So anyway, this is just a very brief where Elfquest comes from. We've been around 35 years. In those 35 years, where has Elfquest been? Well, as I'm sure most, if not all of you know, this is where it started. Fantasy Quarterly #1 appeared in February 1978, and it was a resounding success. We were very pleasantly surprised at how successful it was. We sold out the initial print run of 10,000 copies at a time when independent comics or fanzines were printing 100 copies or maybe 200 copies, and we sold 10,000. And it was so successful that it got the attention of another company who approached us to have Wendy color the original black and white comics and collect them into book form. And we've signed quite a few of these here at Expo so far. You may be familiar with this. This was a breakthrough for Elfquest as well, because it was not only sold in comic shops, it was sold in bookstores. And it was the book. This volume that you're looking at, if you go now, for example, I don't know, you have Barnes & Noble up here, or any...
Indigo.
Indigo, book, whatever. We have a lot of Barnes & Nobles down in the States. But you go into a big bookstore, and nowadays you can find a whole section devoted to graphic novels. And the reason that there is a whole section devoted to graphic novels is because of Elfquest. Because 30-something years ago, this book sold so well that bookstores sat up and took notice and said, wow, maybe there's something to this funny book business. And we're very, very proud of that. And as a result of that ourselves, we decided, you know, maybe we should just stop being mom and pop. Maybe we should open up our own company, Warp Graphics, Wendy and Richard Pini. It's an acronym, in case you didn't know that. You all know that. And we thought, if we're going to be a company, we got to have like real office space, and we should have some like real chairs and real tables and real computers and like more than one room, because everything prior to this was done in one room in an apartment. So this is what Warp Graphics started out as, and we grew. We had a lot of fun doing it. We had some ups and downs. We, at one point, had a whole lineup of Elfquest-related comics. We were at one point probably maybe number 5 or 6 among publishers. You know, if Marvel and DC were 1 and 2, we were not so very far behind them. And you know, that kind of felt real good. We did comics, we did collections of books and so on and so forth. And at the end of all of that, you know, I get to look back at this and say, we've done something. We've accomplished something with Elfquest. Well, now we're into the mid-1990s. We're still in New York, where we originated, and we're doing comic books. And while we are doing this, there is a question that has come up, and that is, where's Wendy? Because while Wendy was absolutely instrumental in the first series of Elfquest and Siege of Blue Mountain and Kings of the Broken Wheel, once we started growing, we needed other artists and writers, and we had a lot of fun with them as well. But round about this time, Hollywood started calling with a very attractive voice, and so as a result, Wendy goes to Hollywood. Because we wanted somebody there who could oversee what was going on with Elfquest. We really wanted an Elfquest movie. Guess what? We still want an Elfquest movie. You all still want an Elfquest movie. We know this. But back in the mid-1990s, it was all brand new, and so Wendy moved out there and to shepherd the whole thing. And in the course of the many intervening years, we have been courted by a lot of different studios who have paid money to option Elfquest and then not known what the heck to do with it. Our latest was Warner Brothers. They had it for 4 years. They decided, well, we're doing The Hobbit, and Elfquest is too much like The Hobbit. And we're going, what? But who knows how Hollywood thinks, or if it thinks?
Well, it can't read.
But she has been out there providing them with a ton of material over the years. Character studies. This is called a turnaround. It shows what Cutter looks like from all different angles. So an animator could draw him from any different direction. Providing expressive faces so that animators or whoever could understand what the characters looked like. Now, one of the things that we did have a flirtation with was Saturday morning cartoons. Actually in the 80s, CBS wanted an Elfquest Saturday morning cartoon. Well, that didn't work out, but Elfquest did make it to Saturday morning once. Here, in the Mighty Ducks. How many of you even remember the Mighty Ducks? Can you see what's going on in this photo? The Mighty Ducks are interacting with Skywise, and Cutter is a little green gremlin. But that's not a mistake, because one of the guys who used to work for us went on to work for CBS, and he put Cutter and Skywise into the Mighty Ducks. And that's as close as we've gotten to Saturday morning cartoon. And I think I'm grateful for that. Oh, there's one more place that Elfquest has been that we're really proud of. Elfquest has been in space. In 1997, STS-87 shuttle mission flew up and took one of our characters into space. This is Starfire. He's sort of a made-up Elfquest character because NASA contacted us. They're doing an experiment called Enclosed Laminar Flames, ELF. They wanted a mascot. And so the head investigator for ELF was an Elfquest fan. And he emailed us and said, would you provide a mascot and a logo and a patch for this mission, for this experiment? And we hesitated all of 3 microseconds and said, heck yeah. So Elfquest has been in space, and very, very few cartoon characters, comic book characters, have made it into space. I think there's only 2 others. Skywise is the resident astronomer, of course. Skywise hasn't made it into space yet. He is PO'd that somebody else got there first. But, you know, that's how it works in the world. You know, so we've had an up and down trip over the last 35 years, but you know, the family of Elfquest is still strong and still really together. And before I move on, and I hope this works, I want to just spend a minute or two with a little bit of a sort of look back at some of the highlights of Elfquest. And that's where Elfquest has been. Now, the question, where's it going from here? Because we're just really starting again. Let me put this back. Among other things, we spoke very briefly about the Elfquest fan film that appeared, what was it, 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. In April. That was done, it was spearheaded by 2 absolutely wonderful, energetic, fiery young women who were also in it. Paula Rhodes played Nightfall, and she's literally Nightfall's size. She's a little tiny thing, and there you go.
And I'm 5'3".
And Stephanie Thorpe, who played Winnowill, and they put together this amazing effort that involved several dozen actors, camera people, directors, producers, and they did it out of love for Elfquest. And we have been terrifically honored, and they are on our team now. They are out there looking for new and much more exciting venues or opportunities for Elfquest, either in animation or in TV or in movies, and we're really, really thankful that they're doing that for us. Recently, we signed a license with a t-shirt company called We Love Fine, And I'm just going to run through a whole quick sequence of designs. They love Elfquest, and they are doing Elfquest designs, some of them based on classic Elfquest art, some with, you know, little interpretation. This is an amazing design. I mean, it's based on Wendy's art, but they took it and just did something wonderful with it. And they're also willing to go a little bit nuts, and we're willing to have them go a little bit nuts. For example, South Park Elfquest. I'm down with that. It's not anything we were expecting, but also, who'd have thought Chibi Elfquest? And, you know, I'm wearing one today, and people have come up and said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" So what's this? It's these guys. It's to die for. It's aw. Let's have an audience. Aw. Yeah. So. We would never have thought of this. You know, we couldn't have, and we're so glad that they are thinking about it. There's other news from earlier this year that you may be aware of. For 35 years, Wendy and other people, but mostly Wendy, have been doing Elfquest art, and we have been storing that where, you know, where we live in New York. And if you're an artist or a collector, or really, you know, anyone who owns things that are dear to you, there's something that scares the crap out of you, and it's the thought of this. What happened? We've got all of Wendy's art in a very safe place, but you know there are some things you just can't protect against, and there's no amount of insurance that could replace Wendy's artwork if it got damaged. So earlier this year, we made the decision, because they asked us to donate the entire Elfquest archives to the Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Columbia University in New York City. Elfquest, the original art, all of the scripts, all of our notes, everything about Elfquest is going to have a brand new home right here in the Butler Library. And we feel incredibly honored that they asked. We feel incredibly relieved that we don't have to worry about it anymore. It's going to be very, very safe. This is a heck of a library, by the way. If you like books, this is a heck of a place. It's like 10 or so levels up and down, above ground and below ground, and it is. I mean, this is serious library. This is just one of about 20 card catalogs that they have, and it's aisle upon aisle upon room upon stack where they have their collections. And by the way, these stacks are famous. You've seen these stacks before, because when they went looking, and just before they got slimed, they were in those very same stacks at the Columbia University Library. So, I mean, what more could we ask for? We're in a prestigious place that the Ghostbusters cleaned out. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but you know, we know our fans. We know what you want. You want it all. You want comics and graphic novels and special books and you want it all. And well, first, I want to say that we have 2 books in the works coming out with a very fine art book publisher called Flesk Publications. They're scheduled for 2014. One of them is going to be The Art of Elfquest. There has never been an Elfquest art book before, and we wanted to showcase from day one to, you know, now, Wendy's artwork on Elfquest. So this is likely going to be the cover for that. And then something that's very dear to my own heart, a book called Line of Beauty, which is going to be about Wendy's artwork, but not just her Elfquest artwork, because she's done so many other things over her life that I want you to be able to see all the things that she's accomplished and get a sense of this talent. The major-ish news, which may not be, people have been asking us, we love the fact that you put everything online for free, but you know, we love holding books. We love paper. We love having a book to put on our bookshelves in our library. And previously, when I gave this show in Seattle, this is the slide that I showed. Because yes, we knew who the publisher was, but they didn't want us to say anything because they wanted to make the announcement. Well, they've made the announcement, so now we can. Some of you may already know, but over the years, we started as just the two of us, Warp Graphics. We did everything ourselves. That was what the situation was in 1978. In 1985, we licensed Elfquest to Marvel Comics. A lot of you have brought those comics up to us to sign. For a lot of you, that was your first introduction to Elfquest. It was a license, and we were very happy to use Marvel to further our own nefarious elfin ends. In 2003, we did the same thing with DC Comics. And they put out the archive editions, which were very beautiful. They brought out the manga books, which was a noble experiment for them. But now, it's us and Dark Horse. If you haven't known that, we had been asking about talking with Dark Horse for about a year, because Dark Horse for us is one of the very few, if you don't have Marvel and DC, then right below them in terms of power and size and everything else, there's Dark Horse and maybe a couple of others, and we talked with them all. But Dark Horse kept coming to us and said, when are you going to sign with us? We want you. When are you going to go with us? We're not dopes. When somebody wants you and you want to work with a good publisher, you go. And just a couple of days ago in Chicago, they announced it, so it was okay for us to make this announcement here at Expo. And we're very, very happy to do that. What are they going to do for us? Everything you want, basically. They're going to do comics of some sort. They're certainly going to do collections. They're going to do, we call them archive editions. That's our shorthand for the nice collected volumes. We're talking about some special, really spiffy looking artist editions that will take her artwork, the original pencils that you've never seen before, and print them large size with all the corrections and all the whiteout and every mark that she made and the little notes, and some of them are kind of irreverent. But that kind of thing, they're fully digital. You're going to be able to get Elfquest on your iPhone and your Android and your iPad and your Kindle and the Nook and the whole thing. It's something we could never do, and even more. And we're very, very excited about working with them I mean, we've got plans for the next at least 4 years with them. And the biggest announcement concerning Dark Horse, of course, is this. Final Quest. You've heard the words maybe. If you've been following us on Facebook or Elfquest.com, you're aware of what we're doing. Final Quest is the next biggest story arc in the Elfquest overall saga. First there was the original quest. Then there was Siege at Blue Mountain. Then there was Kings of the Broken Wheel. Final Quest is going to take all of the questions, all of the threads, all of the hints that have been dropped for 35 years. We know what we've been doing, teasing you, and going to wrap them up. Recently, we put the first 20 or 25 pages of the prologue online. I'm going to give you just a little sample of that to show you what the artwork is going to look like. The prologue is going to be about 60 pages, and it is the setup. We've got 35 years worth of situations. We've got 35 years worth of characters. We need to bring them all back like the pieces on a chessboard and set them up for a major, major storyline. And, Wendy actually prepared a little a movie here as to what it's about. So.
Oops.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Well, you can watch it on YouTube.
No, I want it to come back.
Come back.
I don't know how to make it come back.
Okay. You can watch it on YouTube. Oh. Is it up as high as it can go? Yeah. Okay. Hope you can hear this. Yeah, the mic's on. It's just not a loud soundtrack. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And here, no one has seen this yet, is the cover.
You are the first.
You are the first in the world to see this artwork. It is the cover for the 60-page Final Quest prologue when it comes out in October of this year, 2013, from us and Dark Horse. And the reason, well, you saw at the end of the little movie, it said 2011. There was a little problem. After San Diego 2011, Wendy broke her arm. And it took a year for her to heal back to the point where she could get back in the saddle to draw. So we thought, okay, we said 2011, I think we can be forgiven. We've got an arrangement with Dark Horse now. They're not going to let us slip. We're not going to let them push it back. So look for it this October, and we're just very, very excited about it. Well, anyway, to wrap up, as you could see from the little movie, Final Quest is going to have its ups and downs. There are going to be triumphs, and there are going to be tragedies, but it's just like real life. We all have our ups, and we all have our downs. But even after 35 years, Elfquest is still all about the family, about the tribe that once upon a time, a very, very young artist went looking for, because she didn't have one of her own, so she was going to make one up. And it's still with her, it's still with us, and here we are, 35 years later, still doing it. And you out there, right now, you are our family, our tribe, so we're really, really glad we could share this little bit with you, and shade and sweet water to you all. Thank you.
Yes, lights. Thank you.
Now, we do have, we do have some time, and this is where we open up the show to question and answer. Don't tell me nobody has questions. Okay, right in front.
I know you guys already kind of have a movie deal, but have you considered using like Kickstarter or Indiegogo to fund?
I leave that to you.
For those who couldn't hear, the question was, have we considered using something like Kickstarter or Indiegogo to raise money to make a movie? The fan film, the fan imagining film, was funded with Indiegogo, and people have been having amazing success with Kickstarter. We're not opposed to that, but it's going to happen. If it happens, somebody else will, just like Paula and Stephanie spearheaded their film, somebody else will spearhead the next one onto Kickstarter. We'll give them 110% of our support. But we're going to be busy, and particularly Wendy's going to be busy, writing and drawing Final Quest for the next 3 to 4 years. But if somebody has the idea to do it, I'm putting it out there right now. You get in touch and, you know, you go.
Because the truth is, we're not movie producers. You know, if somebody put $50 million in our laps right now, we wouldn't know what to do with it. So, but someone who knows much better is what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
What about some of the other content like the actual books, like the Blood and Chiefs, those stories, are those also part of the Dark Horse deal, or are they going to be reprinted? Or?
We have not spoken with Dark Horse about, is this on? Is this on?
Oh, shoot.
Okay. We have not spoken with Dark Horse particularly about the prose material. If they are interested in it, and if they want to do the kind of job that they do with comics, we'll certainly talk with them. If they are not interested in it, we have other avenues that will involve both print and e-books. Plus, so that will come back. And the unasked question is, there were 5 volumes of Blood of 10 Chiefs, and there was hint about volume 6. I have all of the stories for volume 6. I've had them for probably 20 years. We just haven't had the opportunity that I suspect we have now. So there will be a 6th volume that will wrap everything up as well. Hmm? The novelizations? Yes. Okay. Yes. I mean, everything that was in prose.
Okay. This excited one over here.
Hi, so I started reading Elfquest actually when I was about 8 years old, and like probably a lot of 8-year-old girls, one of the things I really loved about Elfquest was the costumes.
Yes.
So Wendy, I was wondering if you could, I don't know, say a little bit about designing the costumes and maybe what your favorite was.
Oh, that's a lovely question. Yes, there's been a lot of Elfquest cosplay over the years, and cosplayers tell me that it's pretty easy to make the costumes. They all sort of make sense. The reason they do is that when I was a young fan, you know, in my mid-teens, I was one of the early cosplayers. We didn't even know the word cosplay, you know, it was either masqueraders or costumers or whatever. It was new. But I loved making costumes and designing them, so I did a wide variety of them and kept right on doing them even after meeting Richard. In fact, we did Elric and Zaro Zinnia at Worldcon 1971, wasn't it?
71, yeah,
And,
World Science Fiction Convention.
Took a prize. And then, of course, I had my stint as Red Sonja, doing an actual theatrical performance with Frank Thorne on stage for several years. Even after we had started Elfquest, we went right on through till about 1979 with that show. Costumes make sense to me. I know how they're put together. I know what's easy to wear and what's hard to wear, and so I design accordingly. And I also think about the practicality of them for the type of environment that the characters live in. The Sunfolk, for instance, could have rather fancy costumes as things were, because they lived in a fairly civilized and fairly safe and placid environment. The Wolf Riders started out as pretty rugged and pretty ragged. And over the years, Moonshade's way of doing things has evolved. She is the, for those of you who don't know, the tribal tanner of the Wolf Riders, and she's a very talented clothing maker. But she's mainly practical, but over the years they've encountered other elf cultures, and she's been inspired to try different things. Her latest thing in Final Quest is weaves. She's been playing a lot with weaves in her leathers. And Elfquest has tended to reflect its era. For example, it started in the mid-70s, and the elves wore bell-bottoms, and they looked like hippies. And then in the mid-80s, when Siege at Blue Mountain came out, they were rock stars. You know, Tina Turner, Michael Jackson, big hair. And so on and so forth. In Kings of the Broken Wheel, there was a much more of an anime influence, and so on and so on. Elfquest kind of moves with the times in terms of fashion. Yes, next question.
In green.
Why isn't there a lot of merchandise here in Elfquest? Why don't you just do it?
Was that, why is there not?
Why is there...
We only have one Elfquest thing all
Okay, yes. Yeah. Back when we were a very active publisher, we wanted to keep everything in print a lot. Now, I'm speaking of books. We never really made a lot of other things like T-shirts and so on. Now there are other companies doing that for us. But in terms of books, we have had a period of maybe 5, 6, 7 years where we ourselves were not publishing, because the advice that was given to us was that while the movie was being in development, we should not publish new stuff, we should wait. Well, then when the movie didn't happen, suddenly there we were. It had been 5, 6 years where people had been looking for books and we had not been able to provide them. That's one reason why we're so happy to be with Dark Horse. They are a very aggressive publisher, and starting in October, they're going to make sure over the next couple, 3, 4 years, that Elfquest books are always available once again.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Certain elements of Elfquest that seem to have matured in other comics, and I'm wondering if what sort of rating you're targeting when the movie eventually does come out.
The rating for an eventual movie.
Well, people have asked us, you know, why don't you go the children's programming route like Nickelodeon or something like that? And the truth is, we're not willing to compromise anymore. Back when Elfquest was in development as a kids show for CBS, back in the 80s, they wanted us to dumb it down in so many ways it was unbelievable. And finally, we just observed they didn't really want Elfquest. So nowadays our thinking is whoever's going to do it, whether it's TV or whatever mode it gets to the screen, it's going to be Elfquest as you know it, with the mature elements in.
We have generally said, and we're flexible on this, but we have generally said that in a movie we'd be aiming for PG-13. That seems to be, I mean, G wouldn't work. I don't think we would want R. But, you know, if we had to settle on one thing, but, you know, the world is changing, TV and cable, and there's so many new venues possible. You're going to, if it gets out there, it'll be the way we want it. And therefore, you'll, I think, enjoy it because you've liked us for 35 years.
Yeah, we feel exactly the way you do, that it should be Elfquest. It shouldn't be
Okay.
watered down.
There was, in the back, in the cap,
You guys have worked with Marvel, DC, now Dark Horse, as well as on your own. Which has been the most satisfying?
On our own. But
which has been the most what?
which has been most satisfying, working with Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, or on our own?
Well, yeah. Yeah, but Dark Horse will give us the closest that we could come to that because Mike Richardson of Dark Horse, who own, you know, who's the head honcho at Dark Horse, has been an Elfquest fan for most of those 35 years. He kind of gets it. He knows us very well. We know him. And so I think it's going to kind of be like working on our own, but with a good friend. Yes.
We know that Nona and Adar were representative of yourselves.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Little secret. But is there anybody that was the muse for any of the other characters that you knew?
Well, I've always liked to use the analogy of a mirror. You take a mirror, throw it on the ground, it shatters. And all the little shards reflect different aspects. So certainly there's a lot of Winnowill in me. And Bear Claw was inspired greatly by this one's temper. So there are little bits and pieces of us in all the characters. And to a certain extent, some of the people we know, sort of personality traits that work for us.
The one thing that people ask us is, are you Cutter and Lita? Because, you know, male, female, and, you know, and we always answer, no, 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 no. She's Cutter. I'm Skywise. But as Wendy said, there are aspects of us to greater or less extent in all of the major characters.
Oh, yeah.
We got a couple minutes, maybe, so in the very back.
I don't have a question, I just wanted to say thank you so much because a long time ago I was in music, opera, all sorts of weird things that I had no idea what your world was about. And local Elfquest chapter here dragged me in, and that's what led me to fandom of all kinds, so thank you.
You're
You're
very
welcome. It's interesting. Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting you should bring up music because music is extremely intrinsic to my artwork. I have not ever done artwork without music on.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have just gotten the wrap it up signal.
Does that mean one more question or we're done?
One more. All right, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to ask you something. With your licensing agreement with Dark Horse, I know with a number of other series, they've got figurines and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So can we expect to see those kind of limited editions?
You already have.
You already have.
Dark Horse came out with those three little busts of Cutter, Skywise, and Lita, which were exquisite. I think they're still available. They also came out with that tin box. There's a word for it that I can't remember.
It's a strange word.
But they are so well connected that we will listen to anything they bring to us. And I think that they will listen to any suggestions we might make as well. So the answer ultimately is yes.
Elfquest plushies!
I don't want to leave you hanging. Real fast. That was the question? Great.
Aren't they gorgeous?
They were beautifully done. So it's like, okay, you obviously had a hand.
I worked very closely with the sculptor.
Else would have that
Yeah,
Yeah.
aside from hand, would have that much joy in doing it properly.
yeah.
So that was my question. Are we going to see more?
All right. Once again, thank you all for being with us this evening. And we're here through tomorrow. We hope to see as many of you as we can and stop by and keep on questing.
Yeah, you guys work us hard. Thank you.
Side doors, please. Thank you.